This war and this war are going to be going into Hearts of Iron 3, setting up an epic war for the control of China, in which, who knows, their neighbors may get involved. We certainly have the Tartar Republic, who's taken some licks from China, and Japan, certainly as a great power, might get designs as they had in real life. We're allied with them right now, but that's largely just symbolic. Who knows, even Brunei could take advantage of a potentially weakened southern China in Guangdong or something like that. Or France or whatever. I don't know, we're gonna have to think up some scenarios. So let's go ahead and go to what it's gonna put us as. Okay, so we are I would say a distant second. Not necessarily too distant, but definitely more distant than most of the other people are. Like, there's 1,000 points difference between us and Germany. There's a little bit less than 1,000 points between me and Vinland, looks like. About 700 points, just roughly. It's about 50 points difference between Germany and France, and quite a bit of difference. I would say no, it's a pretty close second. Now looking at that, these two are the only ones that are really neck and neck. But you see these kind of... This is what you kind of normally see. With the exception that we don't have Russia here. Replaced by China, I guess. Although if China gets their shit together, they're usually a great power. Usually. So we've got a normal, relatively normal, great powers list with the exception of a lack of Russia. Which is pretty big, being the leader of an entire faction in Hearts of Iron 3. And of course the lower end of the scale, we've got Smolensk, which is basically our Russia. Argentina, York, who's surprisingly strong, considering they've lost all their European land. Brazil, not surprising. Egypt, again, not very surprising. The Zoro Pope, being the Ottoman Empire, surviving into the end of the game. That's pretty surviving, and pretty surprising, I should say. And it was going to be a very strong ally for us going into the next game. Mexico, very strong showing. And of course, mighty Krakow, being number 16 on the scoreboard, but number 1 in our hearts. Mighty Krakow, with their 27 military points in 3 provinces. Just look at that prestige. It's all prestige. I don't even know how they got that. I didn't give them any bonuses or anything. They're all heart. Well, of course, in the ledger, the military score was, of course, dominated by yours truly in the Persian Republic, followed by our, as of the last 20 years, nemesis nationalist China, and the guys who sit around doing nothing for the last 50 years, Great Vinland, who could have probably destroyed the entire continent of continents of North and South America if they chose to. And of course, they could build the moon. But surprisingly, not necessarily surprisingly, now that I think about it, but Germany really caught up with the industry points. And if they were mobilized, they would definitely be quite a bit ahead of Vinland in their military score. Vinland has been at war, and they're, because they use the American governments, they typically don't have strong military scores even when at war. They're behind in prestige. Obviously, Great Vinland's number 1 for a reason. I wouldn't necessarily fear them in a war since our navy was so much better. But Germany is probably the one country that I would hesitate to fight. Obviously, I hesitated to fight France, but France had a lot of colonies. Germany, this is all European land. All of it. And pretty much all accepted cultures. And just, it's terrifying early in the game. Later in the game, since I'd caught up so much, probably not a big deal. But there wasn't really any threat after the whole Smolensk deal, was really put to rest, when they stopped being anybody I really cared about. Surprising on this list is York being so strong militarily. That's fairly surprising. I wonder where that came from, honestly. Alright, I don't know if I'm gonna upload this as one episode. I think, just as a kind of a denouement, we will go and look in at comparisons for the end of the game and the beginning of the game. So this is the beginning. This is the starting thing. We didn't expand that much. We basically took back the rest of Arabia, the rest of India, which I'd kind of put off so that we would have something to do in Victoria too, and I think it turned out pretty well. Tibet was once again freed by us, and then the Immortals shrank considerably. We actually got most of Actiby's land as well. So, I keep trying to scroll in and out to zoom. One of the surprising things I find of this map, number one, that Kola is the last thing Sweden took, and they didn't even start the game with that, is that Hungary did so poorly. Starting the game as a great power, and doing so badly. I'm not really sure where that came from. Another surprising thing is that how well Egypt did. Not to say that we didn't do our part in helping them, but them actually attacking the Workets and taking some of them over. That's not something that you would usually do. The African miners, one of them survived. Well, what can you say? One of them survived. And it wasn't Zanzibar. I killed them because they were being jerks. South America, what can you really say about South America? It ended as well as it probably could, with very little bloodshed. This would probably have been much more satisfying if I had been looking at it full blast. But yes, something I did in fact want to look into here. I'm going to use this safe because it's not that one that's going to have a thing in place. Let's go take a look at the end of the game situations of a few states, shall we? So, the question was, how much, well, 84% literacy, that's damn good. Oh, I mean, it's America. What do you expect? Well, how much of the country is, in fact, Norse? Let's go take a look. 82% of the population is Norse. 74% Yankee, 10% Dixie, 6.4% Afro-American, 3.3% Texan, a respectable number of Texans. Anglo-French Canadians. This other is probably Native Americans. These men are farmers and also cows. No, it's telling you what they are. Okay, we got some Azerbaijanis, Asian miners, Akhenazis, Jews, as I had alluded to. We got some Zoroastrians here from Armenia. Some Baluchis and Azerbaijanis, pretty cool. Muslims and Zoroastrian Bedouins, the Bedouins of the Zoroastrian Bedouins of Nashville. Protestant British, Catholic Bretons. I'm looking for American miners, Native American miners. And I'm slightly disturbed by the fact that I'm not seeing them, but Czechs, Dixie, Flemish, French, French-Canadian, Georgian, Irish, some Kazakhs. I wonder, some Mashrikis. Metis, there we go, there's some Native Americans. Mexicans, some mystery Arabs. There we go. Okay, I'm not as disturbed as I was. Most of them are probably going to be... quite a few of them are Norse. Okay. So it seems pretty normal spread to me. Let's see if there's any Persians here. Russians. Persians, yep, quite a few. Well, actually, not that many. Like 4, 9, 6, 4. Yeah, this is like 8. It's like under 50 Persians in the entire country. Underrepresented, to say the least. Of course, they maxed out the tech tree. No doubt. Very little infamy. No militancy. And this is one of the problems I have with setting up ridiculous scenarios, like Great Vinland having a civil war. Look at this. There's absolutely no way that would happen unless I was doing it in a completely contrived way. But there's no way anybody would know that if I didn't look at the screen. But just to kind of show you, it's ridiculous. Party support solidly there. Fascists unusually strong. Don't know where that's coming from, but hey, whatever. Nobody really cares about that stuff. Look at this. Voters' ideologies. Everybody likes fascism for some reason. By everybody, I mean 17%. Okay. Let's go ahead and go look at somebody else. Let's go look at York. There's been a mystery of how they've been doing so well. And then I guess we will look at Krakow. I'd always kind of wanted to do this in the other games, and I probably did a couple of times, but I'm kind of deliberately going through it this time. Okay. So, York. Number 11, whilst owning West Africa and Alaska, which is apparently their capital, is in this Sitka. So they have an enormous army here, somehow, which they can actually support. And what does this army look like? Apparently I can't consolidate it for some reason. Because some of them are on the boat. Alright, well, I could look here. Yeah, they're building stuff. Okay. Let's look at their pops. I didn't really want to look into the pops down there. 347,000 people living in Alaska, in this one province. They're focusing railroads. I guess this is the... They haven't been able to build railroads up here. It's pretty tough. No, there's some railroads. Okay. Culture's British, Czech, Russian. Okay. I don't see any problem with that. Alaska actually is a state here. But you have to make a special event to have them switch tags. $239,000 people. 134,000. This is fucking ridiculous. Look at all these people in Alaska. Fairbanks has 110,000 people in it. 110,000 people in Fairbanks, Alaska. This place is 147, 101, 147. How much does Iceland have in it? 11,000 people in Iceland. How many people are in New York? 112,000. There's more people in Alaska than in fucking New York, where they started in. What the hell? There's probably more... Yes! There are more people in Alaska than in Stockholm, fucking Sweden. There's probably more people in Alaska than there is in Sweden, period. 11 million people in this goddamn country of tiny pieces of crap in Alaska. Of course, most of that is in Africa, which makes sense. This is insane. Welp, Alaska has 1.3 million people in it. And all of these are states, it looks like. Well. Well now. Oh no. No sir. No sir. Almost none of them. None of them are states. That might is all from Alaska. Now there's some islands over here. Maybe they got some stuff here. Nope. Okay, one of the things I wanted to point out, which I think I pointed out before, there's not anybody living over here, because I messed up in my conversion. There's people living over here. It's a shitload of aristocrats who like communism a lot. But, yeah, places like this. Because these are basically all... Maybe they lost most of their stuff to, No. Because there's 30,000 people here. It's just they only live in certain areas. Okay. What else did I want to look at? Well, probably... What else is interesting? Let's look at Krakow. And then I guess we can look at Tartaria, just to see how bad the situation really was. That really impresses me, that you can do that with Alaska as York. It's in the New World. They do get the bonuses to immigration, and the bonuses to assimilation. So it's not entirely surprising, now that I think about it. What's more surprising is that they managed to survive it all. So that ought to be terrifying, to see two German armies sitting on your borders. Okay, so mighty Krakow, of course, 99.4% literacy rate. But they only have 2 Navy techs, because why bother? To be sure. Not something you generally want to bother with. How many leftover points do they have? 23,000 leftover points. Which they could instantly research this with. Don't know why they weren't researching this, but whatever. Agrarian Party? It's a really good party, actually. 7 military units, maximum strength. A strong economy, apparently, making a massive 8.92 projected daily balance. It's very nice. They've even given loans to absolutely nobody. And taken no loans. 207 subsidies. What's their industry look like? A lot of closed things. They make airplanes. That's... They make airplanes. I don't know where they got all the prestige from. It's something that it's almost impossible to tell. Okay, is there any other thing I want to look at before I call it quits on this? Apparently Manchukuo had joined the war against Mongolia towards the end. Interesting to say the least. Alright, I think that is going to be it for Victoria 2. Now, it's going to take me quite a while to do Hearts of Iron 3 because there's lots and lots of provinces I need to convert, and I need to come up with an interesting scenario. Now, I'm going to be thinking about this a lot. Feel free to leave comments on what you think I should do, but just remember that I might not give, you know, everything its due, just because I need to really script a thing, so I can't put everything in, and I definitely won't try to. But if I think an idea is cool, I might do it, or at least put a nod to it. And just keep in mind that there's a lot of things, like, let's be completely honest here, Krakow's not going to do anything. Unless I set something up ridiculous. Which I might do. You know? But we're gonna have to really think about it. I'm gonna have to really think about it. And it's gonna take me a while. Maybe, I don't know, maybe as much as a month to really finish it. Because Hearts of Iron 3 is really the one that takes the most amount of effort to mod, as far as just pure copy pasting and stuff like that. Everything else is pretty simple. And then balancing armies, because that's a huge deal in this game. What your army starts out with is actually quite a big deal. And especially when you're going to have wars starting at the beginning of the game, I'm going to have to balance that out, balance leadership and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be pretty tough to really get it into a good scenario. Last time I was pretty much in a winning position from the beginning of the game, even though it didn't really look like it. And in the end, my mistakes almost did me in, but saved by my wingman, the Byzantines, last time. Well, we don't have anybody like that this time. We've got, you know, the Zoro Pope. What are they gonna do? Although they hold a little bit of the same thing. It's not exactly the same, though. I certainly don't have Italy and stuff like that. And we are in a much weaker position. We're basically a half of the empire, if that. None of the European stuff, so it's going to be something we probably have to be a lot more careful about. I'll probably do some videos about my conversion process in the upcoming days and weeks. I don't know exactly how long it'll take, but I'm not going to make any promises on trying to do it quickly, because I want to do it right. And I feel like I didn't necessarily do it as well as I could have last time. And I'm going to be doing releasing some other projects. I actually have decided that I am going to do a normal Victoria 2 game without the pop demand mod, because I have never done a just vanilla Victoria 2 game on my YouTube channel, and I feel like I really should have one. It's to the point where I'd never done one in however many years I've been doing this, and I think I should do that. And I should do a Hearts of Iron 3 one, but not until after I do this. Although, who knows if Hearts of Iron 4 is out then. And I'll probably get around to doing a little bit more of EU4, because I really like that game, and I haven't put as much effort into that. And maybe some CK2 stuff. Really, in the future, I have to have a really good idea to do another one of these. So I should probably start thinking about just doing normal games. Because these are a lot of effort for, I mean, let's be honest here, almost the same outcome on this one as the other one, with respects to the areas I'm working with. And I knew that starting out, that if you start as Persia, you're going to end up in southern Asia, you know. But the point was the beginning. And we have the high point of it certainly was early in the game, but we could have done badly in the other parts, and well, here we are. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll keep you up to date on things. If you want to leave a message in, you know, private messages or in the channel comments to give me ideas for the conversion, just go ahead and do it, and I'll read them all, and I'll comment on some of the things I find interesting, or tell you why I won't do that or something like that. And yeah, I'll see y'all later.